when you let go of doubt, fear, and resistance, the life that you want just starts to flow to you. It's our being in doubt, fear, and resistance that keeps things from us that we want. You know, if we don't have the money that we want, well, it's because we doubt that we can, or we're resisting things. We're, like when you don't believe something, that you deserve something good, that's resistance. Most people don't think about it as resistance, but it's resistance. And when you let go of those three things, then it's like the river of your beautiful life just starts to flow to you, and you can stop striving. Because so many people, and I have done it myself, so many people are striving. I've got to work so hard. I've got to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I've got to do this, and I've got to do that, and I've got to, and no, you don't.
I'm here today with Deberah Bringelson. Deberah experienced her first near-death experience in April of 2024. Her doctors have told her that her heart stopped and she died a total of 5 times, breaking her neck in the process. Deberah, thank you so much for being my guest today. I'm really looking forward to speaking with you.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm happy to be here.
So in April 20 of 24, just a few months ago, actually, you had this extreme event that happened. Tell me about what happened. Were you in an accident?
No, I was at my home, and all of a sudden it was like somebody flipped the light switch, and I was just completely gone. My body crashed to the floor. My heart stopped, and I went somewhere else and had some very interesting lessons at the time. And over a period of 7 days, that happened 5 times. And then my doctors discovered what was wrong, what was causing my heart to stop, and they dealt with it. And so now I'm on the road to recovery. I did break my neck in the process. When you watch it on TV and somebody, they die or something, they kind of fall gracefully. Well, that's not how it happens in real life. I mean, when you leave your body has no support, and I just smashed into the ground. My teeth moved around because I smashed my face so hard. And what the doctors say is that my neck snapped back, and I broke my neck.
Wow. So what did the doctors discover? Was there something happening in your body?
So I was taking a supplement that I had gotten from an endocrinologist, from a doctor, that it wasn't just I went in someplace and bought them off the shelf. And it was a supplement, and one of the known side effects that I did not know was that it can cause your heart to stop. And that's what happened to me. And so after the fifth time, they kind of started doing research on what was going on and why it was happening. And they said, we think it's this supplement. And I said, oh, that's from an endocrinologist. I mean, it's not something I just went to some random store and bought. And they said, no, the research shows that it's a known side effect. And I was on a pacemaker to keep my heart beating. And as I was not taking any of the supplement, my body was expelling it. And so they started turning down the pacemaker, and it worked.
Oh my gosh. Do you want to say what kind of supplement it was?
It was berberine.
I've heard of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Berberine.
well, anybody
So,
that's taking that, just be aware that that is a side effect.
yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you found out what it was, but during this experience, what was happening to you, you actually left your body and you had some near-death experiences. Tell me about the first time that happened.
Well, it was really interesting, and I don't know how long it lasted. It kind of seemed like it was a long time, but um, I'm not sure how long it was. But I was getting all of these messages about nothing is important, and there was like a list, and and some of the list applied to me, but some of the list didn't apply to me. I think it just applies to people in general, but it was just kind of a repetition of what you look like is unimportant. What's in your bank account is unimportant. What people think about you is not important. And it was just a long list. It just kept going and going and going and going. And I was like, yeah, I totally understood the energy of that. It wasn't just like a intellectual knowing, it was an energetic knowing that nothing is nothing, no thing, nothing that anyone thinks about you, nothing that you do is important. And the only thing that's important is love. The only thing that's important is love. And I think I was asking questions. I'm not 100% sure, but I was like, well, how do you get there? And the response that I got was just, no matter what happens, just say, I don't know what's going on and I don't care. Because the only thing that matters is love. And if you can get back into that energy of love, then your life starts to flow. And then in subsequent experiences, because this happened more than once, one of the things that I thought was really profound was when you let go of doubt, fear, and resistance, the life that you want just starts to flow to you. It's our being in doubt, fear, and resistance that keeps things from us that we want. If we don't have the money that we want, well, it's because we doubt that we can, or we're resisting things. Like when you don't believe something that you deserve something good, that's resistance. Most people don't think about it as resistance, but it's resistance. And when you let go of those three things, then it's like the river of your beautiful life just starts to flow to you, and you can stop striving. Because so many people, and I have done it myself, so many people are striving. I've got to work so hard. I've got to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I've got to do this, and I've got to do that, and I've got to, and no, you don't. All you have to do is let go of the fear, doubt, and resistance, so that that river of life can flow to you.
That's one of the most beautiful messages I've ever heard. And thank you so much for sharing that. So is there kind of like divine guidance happening out there, or is it just all us?
There's nothing out there. It's within us. Everything we want is within us. If let's say we want a beautiful new home, it's within us. And it's the saying, well, I've got to go out and I've got to find the money, and I've got to do this, and I've got to get the loan, and I've got to do this, and I've got to find the house. No, it's within us. And the house is just an example. I'm talking about everything is within us. We are source. We're in a ocean of source, and that ocean of source is within us. And so everything that we want is within us. We don't have to go and find it. We just have to allow it to show itself. And again, that goes back to the letting go of fear, doubt, and resistance.
And that can be a difficult challenge for a lot of people who are struggling. What tips can you give them to kind of trust their selves, or their higher selves, or the inward part of them, and let everything flow?
So we've been taught our bodies are meant to tell us what's happening in our world. A remnant that a lot of people still have is like you feel the hairs on the back of your neck go up, or on your arm go up. Okay, that's a tiny little remnant of what's left. But we've been taught to think, 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 think it through. How do you do this? What do you do? How do you fix it? Whatever. And you have to stop thinking, and you have to tune into your body. And when you start feeling that tightness in your gut, or that anxiety in your heart, That's where it shows up for a lot of people. Some people it'll show up like in their shoulders or the back of their neck, but their solar plexus, their heart is where it really shows up. And when you feel that, ask yourself, what's the opposite of that? So let's say you have a tightness in your gut and you tune into it and you feel it, ignoring all of the people who say, forget about that. Tune into it and feel it. And let's say it's fear. Okay, you feel fear. Then you ask yourself, what's the opposite of that? And it could be different things for different people, but one that I like to go to is joy. Okay, if you're feeling joy, you're not feeling fear. So remember a time, if you can't just call in the energy of joy, I can at this point because I've been doing it long enough, but in the beginning, you might need a little help. So call in the energy and the frequency of joy. And if you need help, remember a time when you felt joy, like, when you were running on the beach or snuggling your child for the first time or gazing into the eyes of your beloved, whatever it is, and you feel that joy, allow that to flood your body. And what that does is it changes your frequency. So here's how it works. Let's say you're feeling fear. There are little filaments of energy that are going out into the world, and they're attaching to things that are like them. So if it's fear, it's attaching to fear and it's bringing opportunities for you to fear into your world. So you want to shift that frequency. So you shift out of fear and into joy. And those little filaments of energy are now going out and looking for joyful things to bring back to you, to magnetize back to you. And that shift in your frequency, if you keep doing it, now I'm not going to tell you if you do it one time that it's going to change your life. It probably will a little bit, but you have to live it. And that's the most important thing. We've been taught by religion and schools and society that we have to be a certain way. And a lot of what we've been taught are lies. And so we have to learn to live not lives of lies, but lives of truth, that we can create the life that we want. But the only way we can do that is by actually living it. So if you hear me say something like, okay, shift your energy from fear to joy, I don't mean do that one time. I mean, learn to do that every time, every day for the rest of your life. And I think that's one of the things that people need to understand.
It has to become a new way of life for you, a new lifestyle, a new way of
Right.
thinking or existing. Have you shifted yours since this experience? Have you been able to shift your life?
It's this. So I first started studying metaphysics and quantum physics, metaphysics over 40 years ago. And so I've learned a lot of these things. But yes, since that experience, there's a new peace that has settled in me. And people who know me, they're like, you glow differently. I don't know exactly what that means. But yes, things that would irritate me before and get me off track, they don't anymore. I see everyone as love, even if they don't behave as love. And I see that it's because of their being off track. And I don't need to be off track. And I think that's another really important thing to understand is that we have an opportunity in every situation, 100% of situations, to decide if we're going to react and freak out, as a lot of us do. We get that bill in the mail that we don't expect, or somebody treats us in a way that we don't like, and we freak out. We don't respond with the energy of peace. And we all have the choice to learn how to do that and to do that.
I didn't know you before, but I do see that you have a glow about you. And I wonder if that's kind of what other people are noticing that know you, um, because I can see it. I can see it through the camera.
I don't see it myself. Like when I look at myself, I just see, me with my lovely necklace. Um, but I do notice that, if someone's being difficult or if a challenging situation comes up, instead of reacting, I just kind of go, okay, what's this about? And how do we shift the energy of it? And to I don't care. I don't care if it gets shifted because it's all gonna work out. Like let's say, for example, we have an argument with someone. Well, that argument may be vitally necessary. So you don't have to get in the energy of, well, I've got to control it and I got to make it my way. It's like, okay, we're getting out of this something. And the really cool thing, when you have that attitude, you begin to notice the something. Vadim Zeland, who's a quantum physicist, he talks about it as claiming the advantage. So people, have said to me, and I appreciate their love, but they've said, "Oh, I'm so sorry that has happened to you," and all of that. And it's like, no, I can see why this has happened. I can see, and I know why it's happened. Nobody else needs to know because it's my journey, but I know why it's happened, and it's all benefit.
Everything is meant for your highest good, even if we might perceive it as negative in the beginning. There's gifts hidden within.
Yes, absolutely. And it's always good to ask, okay, so what is it that I'm getting out of this? And I have seen repeatedly things that I'm getting out of this experience.
I think that message is so profound and so powerful and can be life changing, even in an instant. Um, if you know, if you're dedicated to shifting that energy, like you were talking about, you can see your life change in a day. And I've been witness to that. And it's really amazing that you have had this experience where you learned that lesson. But let's go back to your near death experiences as they were happening. You were having over multiple days, you're having multiple experiences. That first time when you received this message, did you see any beings? Was there anyone there with you on the other side?
I know that I was being taught. I know that um, I think it was source. I did not see anyone. It was just like I was in a void, and there were just messages that were coming, and I can't say that I was actually hearing them. I was just more knowing them. I They were just a part of my being. I will say, and one of the things that I think is really important for everyone to understand is there is nothing to fear. There is nothing, and I just felt complete peace. I mean, I was interested in hearing what I was being told, but I was at complete peace, and there is nothing at all to fear.
You didn't feel any pain or suffering or
No, no. And interestingly enough, I haven't really felt a lot of pain or suffering at all since at any point, while I was wherever I was or since coming back. I've taken zero pain medications, and I'm just allowing my body to heal. I'm in a state of healing and allowing my body to heal.
that is quite interesting with a broken neck. I would assume there'd be some pain and suffering associated with that, but do you feel like that kind of peacefulness and that calmness and the healing energy that you're feeling, do you attribute that to your experience?
Oh, absolutely. Because if I was fighting this the whole way, my energy, my frequency would be very erratic, and I would be receiving erratic things in my life. And by staying in calm and peace, and I'm not forcing myself to stay there. It seems like it's a natural way of being. And when I'm in that natural way of being, I'm fine.
What were you thinking when you first woke up after this experience, the first experience? Was your reality like instantly shifted?
The first, Well, when I first woke up, I didn't know what happened. I mean, I was like, even the last time, the doctors and the nurses were there, and they had resuscitated me and everything, and I didn't know what had happened. I was totally and completely gone. Um, at some level, I think I knew I was gone because I do think I made a choice to come back. I have a daughter, and even though she's an adult, I I'm pretty sure I made a choice to come back because of her. I was perfectly fine staying where I was for me. But I do think that I had a choice.
Did it feel like you were there for a certain amount of time, or was it timeless feeling?
It was completely timeless. I have no idea how long I was there. I mean, I know it couldn't have been hours, because if my heart had been stopped for hours, then I definitely wouldn't have come back, or at least I don't think I would have. But I don't know how long it was.
So you were at home for this first one when it happened?
I was,
And
I
then
was.
did you go to the hospital afterwards?
Um, I went, I went to the hospital. It happened again, and I went to the hospital because I was like, okay, I didn't know what had happened the first time. I mean, I literally had no idea. And so, um, the paramedic, 8 paramedics showed up at my house. I, um, After I'd had another experience, and took me to the hospital, and I was there for about a week.
So what happened with your second experience? Was it a similar feeling or
It was, and the teachings that I've talked to you about, they kind of were over different periods, but they were kind of restated in different ways so that I would really get them, and not just get them intellectually, but get the energy of them. I think that was the thing that was most important is, you can say things in your head, but you have to live them in your body. And I think that that was part of what was going on, is that I was learning to live them in my body.
so was it kind of like a download of information?
Yeah, yeah. And it just came in a stream. Was, you know, I do think that I maybe had a couple of questions, but it was just like a stream, a constant stream of information.
You had 5 experiences in total over this week. Were they all pretty similar?
That yes, they were. They were. And they all, I guess the one thing that they all encompassed was peace, an energy of peace.
I am thinking about if that happened to me and I had just been through this tremendous traumatic event and broken my neck and died 5 times and had these amazing, incredible near death experiences. You just must have been blown away at the end of this week.
I don't know that I was blown away. I guess I was just following along with what I felt I needed to follow along with. I was feeling more than thinking. Like I wasn't spending a whole lot of time laying around thinking about it, like thinking about trauma or anything like that. I was just thinking about, or feeling into it.
And when you got back home, how did you change your life? Was there any instant changes? I know you talked about your energy was already changed, but was there any physical ways that you lived differently?
Well, in some ways I have to live differently because I shower with this on and I never take it off. And um, you can't move, like you can't turn your neck, which you never really think about how many times in a day you turn your neck. So in that way, um, I've had to change my life physically, at least for now. Um, I spend a lot of time talking to people about what they can do to change their lives, which it's been interesting to me how many people have reached out and, said how valuable it was to learn about the experience. So, um, I don't, at first I wasn't planning to talk about it at all. I wasn't going to say anything to anyone. It was just going to be something that, obviously people would see the caller, but I wasn't going to talk about anything. And someone said to me, that I shared a little bit with, and she said, people need to hear this, people need to know this, and you need to share. And so I said, okay, I'll see about that. And I did. And the response from people is that, it's been helpful to them. And I hope that that's true. That's, I guess the biggest change is talking about something like this.
I think it's extremely helpful. So, like, again, thank you for sharing your story. Even if that wasn't your original intention, I feel like maybe these experiences are gifts because not everyone has one. There's people that are close to death or in surgery or in accidents, and not everybody gets to bring back an experience with them. So it's an amazing gift, and it's an amazing gift that you're sharing it as well. So it means a lot to me. And I think the world is kind of starting to change. This is becoming much more widely accepted. I think a lot more people are having experiences. And just the energy of the planet is shifting. Do you have that feeling that we're going through a shift? All of humanity is raising in consciousness or vibration?
I do. I think a lot of humanity is raising in consciousness and shifting their frequency. I think there's also a lot of divisiveness. And I think part of that is that we want to control other people rather than allowing them to be who they are. Some people are not ready to shift. They're just not ready. And it's okay. We need to love them too. And we're not better than they are. We're just in a different space. So I think one of the things that would help us all is if instead of trying to judge and control other people who are different from us or who aren't on the same frequency or the same path as we are, if we can just love them and say, okay, that's your choice. Go forth and have the greatest life you possibly can. And I'm going to go over here and have my greatest life that I possibly can. And it's all okay. The more we worry about things, the more we create things to worry about. My new mantra is enjoy more, worry less, or maybe not even at all.
I love that. Yeah, that makes so much sense. And I love the how you were talking about kind of mind your own business, you know? And people people will wake up as they're meant to wake up.
That's right. And whenever that is, it's fine. It's fine. And the only reason it affects us is because we allow it to affect us. If we live outside of that realm of, somebody else's drama or trauma, then it doesn't affect us. And we can make that choice. And that's what I was talking about earlier. So many people, and again, I'm not saying I'm better than anyone because this is something that I've done, but something happens and you react and you freak out. Whereas if you can stay in the energy of peace, you keep your frequency vibrating at a level where those filaments of energy go out and they bring you things that are peaceful or joyful or happy or whatever. Whereas if you're vibrating and those filaments of energy are fear-filled or anger-filled, they just go out and they bring you things to be angry about or afraid of. So we have a lot of control.
What would you say to people who talk about spiritual bypassing, where you notice wrongs or there are, bad things happening in the world and you're not doing anything and you're talking about being happy and joyful and peaceful and they're saying, "Well, you're ignoring these things." What would you say to them?
So that's a really great question. And it's one that I spent a lot of time, many years, trying to figure out. Because I've done a lot of work in the political world. I've done a lot of work in the environmental world and domestic violence and child abuse. And so I've really thought a lot about it. And here's my understanding. When you get energetically hooked in, so let's say there's something that you see in the world that you want to have changed, or, somebody's being harmed or something like that. Ignoring it is not what I'm saying to do, but I also am saying don't get energetically hooked at it. So you look at it and you can, as I was just saying, you can react. You can get angry. You can tap into your own fear. Well, what if this happened to me or happened to somebody that I loved? And hooking in energetically does not help them, the people who are being harmed, or the environment, or the animals, or whoever is being harmed. It doesn't help them. It only makes that situation stronger because you fed into the fear or the panic or the anger or whatever. So you keep yourself in energetic alignment with peace, joy, love. And if there's action to take the action. At an absolute minimum, spread love into the situation. Like if I see someone who is standing on the side of the street and they look like they're unhappy or something's going wrong, the first thing I do before I think about anything else, which I may take other action, the first thing I do is I send them love. I surround them with love. And that frequency will affect them. They may not realize it, but it puts that out there into the world, and it affects them, and it affects the entire world. I talk about this a lot in what I call your point of power. And most people do not reside in their point of power. There are 4 components to your point of power. One of them are your thoughts. And so I always say, if I hear one more person say, just change your thoughts or your mindset, that's all you got to do, I think I'm going to scream, because that's not it. There are 4 components, and your thoughts are only one of them. There are your thoughts and your emotions. They work together. So think of it this way. Let's say you're driving down the road and somebody cuts you off and you have to slam on your brakes, and maybe your kid's in the car, and you panic and you start swearing in your mind at the person who cut you off. That's your thoughts and your emotions. You get all wound up in those. I call it looping. That's the weaker of the 2 pairs. The stronger of the 2 pairs are your core beliefs, which are things that you may not even realize you believe. A lot of our core beliefs were formed before we were 8. And before that, when we were like 0 to 7, we're a sponge. We have no ability to discern whether something is a lie or truth. We just absorb it. And so if we're in a traumatic situation, we just absorb it, and it becomes a part of who we are. Those are our core beliefs. They are also tied to the feelings that are in our body. So when we, let's say we grow up in a home where there's a tremendous poverty consciousness, and now we're in our 40s, and we go to the mailbox and we get a bill for something that we didn't expect, and it's huge, and it immediately immerses us in that fear mode, like panic. How do I get out of this? What do I do? That's partly probably based on a core belief, and the feelings are fuel on the fire that make it bigger than it really is, and it makes it harder for us to get out of that. So when we can get our point of power all pointed in the same direction, right now, most people, they're all going off like this. So you're telling your world, I want a great life with all the money I want, to have the life I want a home that I love, all those things. But your fears and your core beliefs are going, and your feelings are going in different directions. You're going like this. Your thoughts may be saying, yes, give me that great house. But the rest of you is going, oh my gosh, I'm going to be broke tomorrow. So you're going like this, and you have to get all 4 parts of that pointed in the same direction.
So we have to take some time to heal that inner child of ours that's kind of shaping our reality, including our thoughts and emotions, in order to have the life that we hope to have.
Yes, and we have to get in a place where those core beliefs that I'm not good enough or I'm always going to be broke or whatever, where they're not running our lives. And a great way to tell if they're running your life is when you get those feelings in your body that don't feel good, like you're thinking, oh, I really want, a great new job with a lot more money, and you get this feeling in your body that goes, oh, that's not going to happen. You feel that you may not identify what it's saying, but you feel that anxiety, that fear, that tightness. That tells you that your point of power is not in alignment.
Are there any ways that people can kind of work on those simple little tips that kind of work for people at home?
I have a video on YouTube. If you go to quantumresultsformula.com, you can get the video for free. And it
Great.
explains how the point of power works and what to do about it.
So, did you bring back any gifts? I know you do have some gifts from before your experience. Was that deepened, or did you add on to that gift at all after your experience?
Well, I think that I'm living in a deeper state of peace, which is pure gift. It's a gift for me, and it's a gift for the people in my world to be living in peace rather than living in the chaotic energy that surrounds so many of us.
That is a deep, wonderful gift. And sometimes we don't think about that as a gift. Because originally I had meant like any psychic abilities or, the clairs. And so to say that the piece you brought back was a gift is very profound.
I don't know that it's a gift or that it's been deepened, but I do find that I have an easier ability to get into the quantum consciousness, to get back there, to live as wave. We think of ourselves as solid, and we're not. And you're looking at your computer screen and you think of the space between your body and the computer screen as empty, as space, and it's not. It's all waves of energy. And one of the things that I was actually doing it this morning before we started this conversation is getting consciously into those waves, because that's where the movement happens. That's where we start to shift our lives. And the exciting thing for me is how possible it is to do that.
That is very exciting. What is your biggest takeaway from all of this, from your experience?
There's nothing to fear. Nothing, whether you're walking around on the planet or whether you're no longer walking around on the planet, there's nothing to fear. Nothing at all to fear. We make a choice to fear because we've been taught that. So I'm not being judgmental of anyone, or I'm not criticizing anyone. I mean, I've done it myself. But we've been taught to fear. And there's no need. There's no need to fear at all.
We've been taught, I think, in our culture
Yeah.
here in the States, anyway, fear surrounds death in every way.
Well, it's the world. I mean, religion is a huge creator of fear intentionally. Governments are, schools are, and we learn it in our homes, and it's in part because the people that are taking care of us, they learned it too. So they're passing on what they learned. But there is nothing to fear.
Just mentioned religion, where there's a belief of an afterlife instead of atheism or other beliefs where there's nothing after we die. Religion does believe that we'll exist after, but that maybe if you've made some mistakes as a human being that you're going to be eternally punished. Does that resonate with you from your experience?
There are no mistakes. There are no mistakes. We are living in a continuum while we're on the planet, and we do not cease to exist when we're not walking on the planet, there is nothing to fear. Nothing. It's like water. So water in one state flows. Water in one state is solid, it's frozen. Water in another state, you can't see it because it's in the ethers. It's not exactly like that, but I think that's a good analogy. It's still there, even if it's evaporated and it's in the air, it's still there. It's not gone. And then it'll rain and it'll be liquid again, or it might freeze. It's still there. The same is true for us.
Is that like reincarnation? Do you believe in reincarnation?
I believe we have multiple experiences on the planet until we choose to not have them anymore.
Kind of like that rain coming back down after we evaporate. I like that analogy, by the way. That it's a great way to give a visual or a concept for something that is really ineffable.
Yeah. Yeah. And we don't have to be walking on the planet to still exist. And there's nothing to fear. Nothing. You know, I believe that everyone can create the life that they want. I don't like the word manifest, because manifest is like it's outside of you. It's like, I've got to manifest it. I got to go get it or whatever. And when we're creating from within us, we're living the energy of what we want. We're living it. Before it ever shows up in our world, we're living it. And when you live it, it flows from within you to the world where you can actually see it and touch it in your world. And I believe that everyone can create the life that they want. And I believe, you know, one of the biggest things that I see in people is they don't believe that they are worthy or they deserve. And you are worthy and you deserve, not because you've worked for it, not because you've done something good or not been bad. You deserve it and you're worthy because you exist. That's the only thing you have to do, is to exist.
That is so powerful and so beautiful and
And
meaning.
it's true. You deserve everything. The greatest gift that you can give to yourself and to the world is, one, to learn to profoundly and deeply love yourself, and to know without question that you are worthy and that you deserve. If you can do that, that's the greatest gift you can give to yourself, to your family, to the world.
If my viewers wanted to reach out to you, they can check out your YouTube channel. Is there any other way?
They can email me. Now it's a little bit different spelling, but it's Deberah at DeberahBringelson.com. They can email me if they, want to connect. I'm happy to do that. And then if they wanted that one particular video, to just go to quantumresultsformula.com. It's about 15 minutes. It'll explain your point of power and how to make it work for you.
Well, I know I'm going to head over there and check that out right now because that sounds fascinating. And I'll link your email address down below as well. So if anybody wants to reach out to you, they can easily just click there and have it.
Great.
And yeah, I just want to thank you so much for being my guest. This has been enlightening for me, really, truly enjoyable. Thank you,
Well, thank
Deborah.
you. Thank you for inviting me.
The pleasure's been mine. Thank you for being here. I just want to tell you how much I appreciate you being here and supporting my channel. If you haven't already subscribed, please consider subscribing if you enjoy near-death experiences and other spiritually transformative stories. It helps the algorithm know that this information is useful and push it out to more people. And that's the goal, to get as many people to know that we are eternal spiritual beings and that we never die. Our bodies might die, but our essence will never die. And I want people to live with less fear. Let's all spread the word. Like, comment, subscribe, share, hit that little notification bell so you get all the notifications when my videos post. Thank you for all of your support. I'm sending love to you.